It's Earth Day's 50th birthday.
Happy birthday to you, Earth Day.
As Californians stay home to save lives, Cal EPA honors 5 decades of environmental progress with a virtual Earth Day celebration. We have songs, experiments,
water vapor,
and inspiration.
I started with the kids in the rec center.
This can be a whole community effort.
As we look back at the first Earth Day and look ahead to the future.
The best is yet to come.
Hello and happy Earth Day. My name's Jared Blumenfeld and I'm the Secretary of the California Environmental Protection Agency. We planned huge events, rallies, and bring your kids to work and plant trees and all kinds of exhibits and, sky was the limit. But in order to save lives and protect our health, we're staying at home, most of us, and that means that we're moving Earth Day online. We couldn't let Earth Day's 50th anniversary pass without a huge celebration. After all, 50 years ago, more than 20 million Americans went onto the streets demanding clean air, clean water, and land free of toxins. One of the people that's done nearly more than anyone to push for environmental protection is our Governor, Gavin Newsom. And I had the privilege of recently sitting down with him to find out how far we've come and how far we still have to go.
Say about California, the future happens here first, and that's demonstrable when it comes to the issue of low carbon green growth, when it comes to the issue of radically changing the way we produce and consume energy, when it comes to the issue of environmental stewardship. So let me just acknowledge half a century of extraordinary work here in the state of California, and for that matter, growing consciousness around the rest of the world, marking anniversary of Earth Day. We're proud of California, we're proud of the EPA, we're proud of the leadership in the state, and there's much more coming. The best is yet to come.
So Dennis, you're one of the people that actually came up with the idea and helped orchestrate the first Earth Day in 1970. Tell us what it was like.
The air in major American cities then was often like the air in Shenzhen or New Delhi or Sao Paulo today. And Cuyahoga was regularly catching on fire. I think it had like 10 fires on the Cuyahoga. The Great Lakes were dying. And we had that oil spill in Santa Barbara. And Rachel Carson had talked about the disappearance of avian species due to the use of pesticides, and on and on and on. It got to be something where a large number of Americans began to understand that there was an inverse relationship between the way we measured prosperity, the growth of the gross domestic product, and their well-being. We were getting richer every year, but sicker every year.
It was a big, big political issue for people in a way that we have seen since, but it really felt like the beginning. When people talk about the beginning of the modern environmental movement, they always talk about 1970 Earth Day. After that, you had the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, the laws dealing with Superfund and hazardous waste. What was going on?
Well, there are a couple of things. One, Nixon did do some good things for the environment, and I'll get to them in just a second, but he was in no sense an environmentalist. He was just a cunning politician. It's forgotten now, Nixon actually vetoed the Clean Water Act of 1972. It was overridden so solidly by Congress that he never questioned another environmental bill. And when you think of passing the Clean Air Act, putting that in context, this is something that has cost more than $10 trillion to flow in a different direction than it otherwise would have in public and private funds, subjected to benefit cost analysis so that it was smart to have had it flow that direction. That was opposed by the coal industry, the oil industry, the automobile industry, the electric utility industry, the steel industry. And it not just passed, it passed unanimously on a voice vote in the US Senate. And it passed with one dissenting vote out of 435 in the House of Representatives.
Incredible.
It was a different era. Partly that was a consequence of a campaign we ran that fall called the Dirty Dozen. I mean, on Capitol Hill, there was some sense that, yeah, there were a lot of people out there and a lot of them were whining and a lot of them were partying, but this wasn't really something that was a voting issue. Then on the Dirty Dozen campaign, we took on 12 incumbents in districts clearly that the margins were relatively close. They'd won their most recent election by no more than 4 percentage points, where we had really strong Earth Day activists who wanted to be doing something political, and where there was a serious environmental issue inside the district. So we had that going for us. What we had going against us was they were incumbents, and we had $50,000 for the entire United States for this campaign. So when we took out 7 of the 12, and in particular when we took out the chairman of the House Public Works Committee, the Pork Committee, the guy that you had to go to if you wanted a federal building, you wanted a highway, you wanted a bridge, you wanted a prison. When he lost, that was the shot that was heard around Capitol Hill, and as a consequence, we were able to, as you suggested, in the next several years, pass pretty much the entire framework of modern environmental legislation.
Amazing. So on a personal level, you must have been preparing for the 50th anniversary of Earth Day for a while. I mean, now it's kind of switched suddenly to being an at-home event.
I'm trying to be resilient, but when you've spent every evening and every weekend and many millions of dollars for 2 years trying to build huge crowd events, and around the world we have paid staff now of nearly 100 people who've been working on this. We were in nearly 200 countries with these events.
Amazing.
We aspire to 750,000 people on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. And then suddenly everything we've been organizing is illegal. I mean, we wanted to have 750,000 people. It's now against the law to have more than 10 people in one gathering on the mall. So that to say that is crushing is almost an understatement. But what we're doing now is relatively straightforward. We're trying to do, in a sense, what we did in 1970, which is not exactly a dirty dozen, but with taking this issue to politics, making climate a voting issue. The general sort of bumper strip is make Election Day Earth Day in 2020, since we do it on April 22nd. And we will have a bunch of voter registration drives on hundreds of colleges and universities. We'll be having voter education efforts that are coming out of the whole environmental community and get out the vote efforts. It's getting, I mean, I try to be optimistic, but it's getting close to game over.
So I don't want to dwell on that, other than to say I completely agree with you. Like, lots of events like the Olympics are being postponed. We're just postponing this to November 2020.
Each year, Cal EPA employees bring their children to work for a fun, interactive Earth Day experience. Cal EPA Earth Day favorites Dr. Neptune and Queen Green are coming to you virtually this year to celebrate 50 years of environmental progress.
Hi there, Queen Green again. We are going to learn one of my favorite eco rhymes called "The Water Drips All Through the Night," and it's to the tune of "The Ants Go Marching." But instead of "The ants go marching," we say "The water drips all through the night. Oh no, oh no." And we have our little panda bear here. And look, the water is drip, 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 dripping while she's sleeping. And Queen Green is very sad because Wasteful Winnie is wasting water. So we are going to sing and dance to this eco rhyme and learn what we can do to help protect the environment and to help save Queen Green. All right, so we're going to start out marching. March with me. And we say, "The water drips all through the night." Say that with me. "The water drips all through the night." Good job. And then we say, "Oh no!" Let's put that together. "The water drips all through the night. Oh no! Oh no!" Now we're all going to be little water droplets. So put your hands on your knees and drip with me. We're going to say, "Drip, drip, 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 drip." Then we say, "Wasteful Winnie, sleeping tight. Gallons lost," clap your hands, "and out of sight." Then we put our hands on our head. "The water shortage Now is worse. Hands on your hips. She does not care. And then we go back to our little water droplets where we're dripping. And then we repeat the whole thing. I have confidence in you. I think you've got it. Let's put it to music. And we're going to do this together, starting out with our little water droplets. Drip, 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 drip. The water drips all through the night. Oh no, oh no. The water drips all through the night. Oh no, oh no. Wasteful when he's sleeping tight. Gallons lost and out of sight. The water shortage now is worse. She does not care. Drip, 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 drip. No more drip, drip. No more drip, drip. No more drip, drip. No more drip, drip. The water drips all through the night. Oh no, oh no. The water drips all through the night. Oh no, oh no. The dripping water in the night wakes her up with all her might. She turns that faucet off so tight because she cares. No more drip, drip. No more drip, drip. La 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 la. Give yourself a round of applause.
So today we're talking to Dr. Neptune, also known as Cedric Irving. Hi, Cedric. How are you doing?
Hey, doing pretty good.
How did you come up with the title Dr. Neptune? I love it.
I was actually kind of forced in the situation where I had to pick a fun, fictitious alias.
Nice.
When I was in college, we went around teaching science enrichment, and that's how I kind of got used to doing science presentations for kids. And then so I thought, Neptune's awesome because I love the beach. I love the color blue.
I remember, unfortunately, this year we don't get to have all the kids come in. And, you know, last year you had the water guns. It was fun having the governor come and all those other things. But mainly it was like, wow, Dr. Neptune is cool. Yeah. Everyone loved your show.
The events were getting bigger and bigger every year as people were hearing about the live science show. And, you know, it's a bummer that we can't do it live this year.
Yeah, but you're going to do it online.
Yes. Yeah.
We're still going to get the magic of Dr. Neptune, even though it's not going to be live. It will be intense.
I think that with kids, learning and fun is contagious. And so I just kind of harness my own enthusiasm in different parts of the subject. And, you know, it ends up coming out in a way that I guess kids want to jump along and have fun with me.
The thing you're going to do today, Dr. Neptune, is allow kids to learn something at home. So parents, you can go and turn on this video and Dr. Neptune will take your kids to a different world and they're going to learn something.
Today, we're going to discover exactly how we lift, or in other words, defy gravity and transport water from our water reservoirs to our homes. What about the homes that live up on the hill? How do they get water? Through a pump station. So let's take a look at how this pump station works. This right here is going to be our model pump station. Inside of it is a wet well. There's a pipeline that comes through and sends water to where it needs to go. But if it's going uphill or if it's too deep, well, we got to send the water up. So the pipeline fills up our wet well full of water. And there's different sensors inside of our wet well. The sensors inside of our wet well are going to tell us how full the water's gone and when it's time to push it out. And the way that it gets pushed out is with our force main. And so what's going to happen is our force main is going to push the water out. And you are going to help me launch that water. We don't have pipelines, but we do have a water rocket. Are you ready to get started? So our wet well is filling up. We've got increased volume in here. We're ready to pump the water out. And we're going to use our model force main right here to pump this rocket up high in the air, defying gravity, just like our water resource managers do in your area. Let's go ahead and got that in. Next we got our key. All right, let's go ahead and pump up some pressure in here. There's no way we can build up the amount of power that's inside of our big force mains, but let's go ahead and pump it up and see what happens. All right, let's count down with me. In 10, 9, 8, 7. Maybe you can take a look. Water vapor inside. Ooh, ah. So water is so resilient. You see, it exists in a lot of different forms. It's actually more dense as a liquid than it is as a solid, and helps provide a lot of temperature buffering, pH buffering that allows us to live our lives. So it's important to take care of our water resources.
Community food sources and school gardens give us food security with high nutrition. Food justice advocate Ronnie Webb and famed Chez Panisse restaurant owner Alice Waters promote urban and school gardens that grow fresh produce for our communities.
Ronnie, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Good. Are you at home?
Yes, I'm actually in the house, staying out the way.
Where is home?
Washington, D.C.
Just to let you know, we went out to all the employees at California Environmental Protection Agency, and they named you. They were like, "We want you to talk to Ronnie." So that's how your name came up.
That's what I'm on.
Yeah. No, we were meant to talk to you. Tell us, like, how did the green scheme, like, tell us about, like, how you thought of it and, like, how it's evolved. It's really doing amazing work.
So funny, I had this degree in agriculture, economics, ag business, and I applied for 100 jobs for the USDA.
Wow.
And I didn't get one interview. You know, I was really frustrated not being able to get an interview from the USDA. And I just said, man, forget it. I'm going to start my own nonprofit. I'm going to make it cool to live sustainable, to be really into nature and educate people on that. But also, I want to have an equal component to incorporate that with health. I started with the kids in the rec center, and we did a "You Are What You Eat" workshop. It was just one workshop where we showed kids how they could take sweet potatoes, they can make sweet potato pie, they can make sweet potato chips, they can make a sweet potato juice. But then we also showed them how to cut the sweet potato, put the toothpicks in, gave them jars, and started them growing. After we established this organization, and we did one or two just community youth workshops, we identified a grant from the USDA, a community foods grant. And from there, it was just a series of, we had two sites, one in the second biggest housing development in DC, and the other one was at this youth center, after school center. And we built the garden, and we just did a bunch of education revolved around urban agriculture and also community food systems. And so from there, the kids were able to do tree plantings. We were able to bring different components of fruit tree plantings. We were able to do just bring different components of the environment in. And so that's a cool story, because I couldn't get one interview from the USDA.
I know, amazing. And then you got the money.
The Green Scheme has really positioned ourselves, especially communities of color. But we are a trusted organization. We work with so many organizations, especially organizations that are way bigger than us, because we found a way to sort of bridge them to the hard to reach folks. And it's really cool how we're doing it. It's really a hands-on approach, and we're having some fun growing.
If you took your organization to the next level, and the things that you're doing in your community were made nationwide, like what would be the big things that you'd want to see happen?
You know, friends that I have from the West Coast, they eat entirely different. It's a healthier lifestyle. And I think that is just through education, and that could be through the school systems, that could be through the parents, the families, that could be through the organizations, that could be through the faith-based institutions around. But I would love to see the leaders of these organizations become a little bit more informed on the environmental justice piece and the food justice piece. The second thing I would like to see is a lot more creative collaboration between government agencies, nonprofits, for-profit businesses, and grassroots organizations. I would like to see the resources being used a little more strategically, and that takes some work.
Thank you, Ronnie. You inspired us today, and like you kind of a symbolic of everything that we need to do to protect the earth, and doing it local, getting people healthy, getting people's hands dirty, changing that old dynamic. You guys rock. So really appreciate it.
And thank you for having us and giving us opportunity. We
Cool.
love this type of
You guys
stuff.
rock.
Anytime we both collaborate,
Yeah,
it is super great.
we're gonna
Thank you.
talk to you again later, I'm sure.
For sure. Let's stay in touch.
We will.
Bye-bye.
So Alice, where are you? It looks very verdant. It looks almost like you're in Yosemite.
I am in my backyard in Berkeley.
Wow. The beauty of what you have behind you is it allows you to connect to yourself and nature every day by just being in the garden.
I think back as a child that my parents had a victory garden during the war. And so after the war, we really ate from that garden. So I just immediately said, oh my God, we have to plant victory gardens.
I mean, when you phoned me and it was like, this is what we need to do. We need to plant victory gardens for our own peace of mind, but also for food security and for community and
all of the above.
Yeah, your voice is so strong on this.
Over the years, we've had an amazing network built around the world. We have almost 7,000 schools that understand these values and either have garden classrooms or kitchen classrooms or curriculums that share the values with the students. And the really important part is the Montessori part. It's learning by doing.
Yeah. I mean, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. I literally can't think of a more symbolic or emblematic way to do that than the systems that are involved around food.
It's so important that we value people who feed us, our teachers and our farmers. But this is not just an issue of schools trying to struggle to make that happen. This can be a whole community effort.
The victory gardens, the ideas that you have to be part of how we rebuild after COVID-19. We have to take your ideas and make sure they get built into the mainstream. Well, so any ideas on how we do that?
Well, we decide to do it. You know, our farmers need the support. Maybe we can help get the money to give to these farmers, and the farmers can bring the food to the centers where you can give it to people.
Amazing.
It's so
inspiring,
powerful that. And if we don't have a middleman and we're kind of buying directly from those farmers, the same thing will happen that happened at Japanese. The values of the farmer come right through the kitchen door, right through the cafeteria door.
That's so powerful. You have influenced so many people, and I want your influence to grow and become even stronger so we can do all the things that you've outlined. And we all stand behind you and with you to help that vision come true. So thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you.
We couldn't have big Earth Day celebrations in person this year, so Californians went online to share how and why we saved the planet.
recycle bin. Dun, dun, dun. Everybody recycles.
This is how I save the planet. Every pound of produce I grow here at home saves 2 pounds in greenhouse gases.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.